So how do you know if you're emotional eating and how do you stop it? This is a topic that I've actually shot a couple of videos on before, but it always comes in really handy for people. So I'm going to go over a little bit of old ground, but hopefully you can take something from it. So most of us emotionally eat and drink in some fashion. One of the hacks that I tend to use with people to establish if you're emotionally eating or drinking is to first stock up on not as many healthy snacks and drinks as you can, but a good fair few. Have some at home, have some at work, have some in your handbag. You know, have some water, some flavoured waters, low calorie drinks, have some healthy snacks, so fruits, yogurts, cheeses, nuts, seeds, things like that. Stock up on plenty of healthy food and drink. Then, if you find yourself craving something, so especially if it's something naughty like chocolate or crisps or a takeaway, wine or anything like that, if you find yourself craving something, reach for your healthy snacks and drinks first. If there's a resistance to do that, then it's not hunger or thirst that's driving the craving, it's something else. And I say emotional eating or drinking, it's not always emotion that drives it. Basically, every behaviour that we have is on a habit loop. I mean, you'll hear me and Adam talking about habits quite frequently. So in every habit loop, there's a trigger. So something, either a feeling, an emotion, something within our surroundings, a person, a time of day, etc. There is something that triggers us to carry out a certain behaviour. Then we carry out the certain behaviour and there's a reward at the end of that. We might feel better for, having a bit of chocolate or something. So each behaviour is triggered by something. So if you have a behaviour that you want to change, and say that behaviour is drinking wine in the evening or eating chocolate at 3 o'clock in the afternoon out of the vending machine at work, by finding what is causing those triggers, we can start to work on reprogramming those behaviours. Like I said, sometimes it's emotion, so it's a mood or a feeling, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the location, it's the company that you're with, it's the activity that you're doing, it's the time of day, etc. So a really good exercise that I use for clients that seem to have no control over their snacking, drinking, binging, etc., is to just data gather for me for a period of time. So that takes form of a triggers diary. So I ask them to keep a diary for a number of weeks and just data gathering. And basically, every time you find yourself craving something that you know you shouldn't really have, and you really don't want to reach for that healthy backup snack and drink that you've put in your bag or that you've got in your fridge, etc., is to answer the 6 W's. So if you get a blank notebook or you create a little note file on your phone and write down the 6 W's. So my 6 W's are: number 1, what day and time was it? So some people, for example, they'll be absolutely fine all day, and Monday to Friday, when they finish work, when the kids are in bed at about 8 p.m, that's when everything starts to go wrong. So we know that there's a trigger there of the day and the time, potentially some emotion in there as well, but we know that there's a consistent pattern that it's every day when the kids have gone to bed. So the first one is, what day and what time was it when you had the craving or when you gave in and had something that you knew that you shouldn't? Okay. Number 2 is, where were you or where am I? So again, I've spoken on videos before that I did this exercise for a period of time and I found a really strong theme of eating and drinking junk in the car. So I used to commute quite a lot in corporate jobs that I've had before. The commutes could be 2 hours a day, 2 hours each way. And I'd stop at a petrol station, I'd get a latte or a cappuccino, maybe a bar of chocolate or a bag of sweets or something like that. And my location was the car. The car's a trigger. Now, even though I don't have those jobs anymore and I don't commute for a long time, I could literally be doing the school run or nipping down the road. But every time I go to a petrol station or every time I'm going somewhere in the car, I crave coffee and junk food, really. So that was a big eye-opener for me. So now I'll make a really low calorie coffee at home, just a white coffee, something like that. And I'll always try and have some sort of healthy snack on me in the car, because the cravings probably always going to be there because I've set that behavioural pattern for such a long time. But I don't need to do it. And obviously it was a lot of extra calories and things that I was wanting to cut out of my diet. So that was a really big eye-opener for me. So number one is, what day and what time was it? And number two was, what was your location, or where are you, or where were you? Were you at work? Were you at home? Were you at your parents' house? Were you in the car? Etc. So where were you? Number three is, who were you with? So we do actually get sabotaged quite a lot by other people, or influenced by other people. So you'll hear Adam talking on his videos about Brenda, who brings in cupcakes at work, and there's always one person at work who wants to feed everybody up. They want to bring in biscuits and cakes, and they want everybody to feel better. And we do temporarily feel happier when we've had a little bit of a sugar hit or a bit of a chocolate hit, etc. And most people will struggle saying no when somebody brings in something treat-wise at work. So note down, who was the company that you were with at the time. Was it your partner? Again, was it your parents? Was it your kids? Was it your colleagues? Were you alone? Some people are secret eaters. They wait till everybody's out of the room and they'll eat secretly. So note down who you were with at the time. Number four, note down the activity that you were doing. Were you doing anything in particular? So it could be that you were making after school snacks or tea for the kids, and you've ended up nibbling on a few bits from the snack cupboard. Could be that you sat watching a bit of Netflix and you're just pigging out at the same time. So what activity were you doing at the time? Also note down what emotions you were feeling. Were you bored? Were you happy? Were you relaxed? Were you content? Were you stressed? Were you frustrated? Did you feel hungry, etc.? So note down any feelings that you had at the time that the eating and the drinking occurred. And then the last one, which is more of an insight into what you end up eating and drinking, was, what did you eat or drink at the time that you had that trigger? So when I get in the car, I crave coffee and sweets. However, when the kids go to bed at night, I crave a glass of wine. So your cravings might be different depending on the answers to your other 5 W's. It's a really, really useful exercise. And what I say to people who are struggling to take control of their binge eating and their drinking and the empty calories that they're having is, we have to try and tackle one of them at a time. So sometimes it's not as simple as just saying, right, I'm not going to eat any more junk. It could be that the majority of your junk is happening at work, or the majority of the junk is happening when the kids are in bed at night. And we look to remove each scenario at a time, rather than just a blanket approach to your entire life. So by knowing the different scenarios that drag you off track, knowing whether it's the day, the time, your mood, the people that you're with, the location, etc., we can start saying, right, which one are we going to tackle first? And it could be, like I said, it could be in the car, you like a latte or a cappuccino and a bag of sweets. Okay, let's focus on that one first. How can we not eradicate the cravings, because the cravings are going to be there, but how can we make some swap outs so that you've still got a coffee or a drink in the car, and you've still got some sort of snack that's going to make you feel satisfied, but it's not going to be detrimental to your health. And then we work on creating a new behavioural pattern and a new habit. Then when that one's conquered, we might look at the others and say, right, you're opening a bottle of wine every night when the kids go to bed. So we know you're going to want to drink. We know that craving for relaxation is going to be there. What could we swap that to? And we could try things like herbal teas. You could try things like a non-alcoholic beer, just so the calorie content and the alcohol content is lower, etc. But by knowing your individual scenarios, we can start to play around with trial and error and see which things actually satisfy you equally, or maybe not quite satisfy you as much, but it's enough to be able to change your habit. So they are my tips. So keep a triggers diary. Answer the 6 W's every single time that you're eating and drinking something that you shouldn't. Start to gather data. Don't see it as failure if you give in. See it as learning. But you're only learning if you're capturing the information, if you're logging where you are, what time, who you're with, what you're doing, what you're feeling, etc. Give it a go. If you need any help once you've figured out where your bad habits are coming in, if you want any hints and tips on specific swap outs for specific times of day, or if you want specific strategies for dealing with colleagues that are sabotaging you, etc., let me know and I'll shoot some additional videos on how to deal with some of the specific scenarios. Good luck.